guys, welcome back. This is day 2. I got the bolts. They finally came in yesterday. If you guys need the part number for the front Brembo STI bolts, here it is. I'll put it up on the screen as well. These are 12 by 37. They do have a different number than what my original bolts came in. These have like a 10 on it and these show 11, but I did fit them on the caliper. They fit perfectly. I'm glad that they came in last minute. Since I did take out the calipers off of the brake lines, we are gonna have to go ahead and re-bleed the entire brake system. Let's get back into it. So we got the Hawk pads, the HP Pluses. We got the Centric blank pads. We are not done just yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the hood of the car and we're gonna start getting to the coilovers to take them off. And then we're gonna test these Cusco upper mounts on the coilovers. One thing that I've been trying to look up online a lot is the Cusco upper mount top hats, or camber plates if you will, on the KWV3 coilovers, and there's not a lot of write-ups on the installations and if they go together. When I switched over to these coilovers, these use the OEM top hats, and from what I read, that the Cusco camber plates work on the stock struts. The KW and the Cusco upper mounts should work flawlessly without any extra bits, so we're gonna go ahead and test that out now. Tomorrow I'm gonna have one of my boys, Kevin. He's gonna come over and he's gonna help me out and bleeding the brakes, and then we're gonna go ahead and bed those brake pads in with the calipers. And I do have an alignment for next Tuesday right before we start heading up to Orlando, end up going our way to Daytona. So let's go ahead and start taking out these coilovers. And one thing about South Florida, unfortunately, is there's always storms when there's like a sunny day. Hopefully we can get these knocked out right before it starts downpouring on us today. I don't plan on wasting another day working on this car. As far for the bolts, it should just be two 19 millimeters for both sides. I believe the top one is for the camber. Try to line this top one up as much as possible, or as well as you can. The bottom one is just a straight bolt. If you do plan on using an impact wrench like I plan on doing after I break these bolts, is to use the impact on the nut side rather than the bolt side. I hear that if you do it on the bolt, it could create some internal tension and twisting that could eventually ruin the bolt for you for future use. Alright, so I'm taking a break. It's so humid. It looks like it was just about to rain. But update, we got both front coilovers off with the stock top hats. You can see now a little bit better. There is the cracking going around the top hat. I didn't know if tech was not going to pass that or not, so that's why I went ahead and ordered the Cusco upper mounts. So I managed to finally take it off with the coilover. I was missing a 1/4 inch. And it seems like this is the method to tighten them, not so much take them apart, because I was using a go-through socket or wrench. It was so tight, felt like I was gonna break this 1/4 inch wrench that I just bought at freaking Home Depot. And I ended up managing to get the top hat off. This is the sleeve that comes with it. I believe it's for a 12 millimeter. The KWs, remember, they do work with the stock top hats. So they should work just fine. Another thing is that they do come with these 2 bushings. I'm not really sure where I place them. I'm not sure if they sit on top of the perch here. It does seem like they fit exactly. What I ended up doing was in between, I don't know if you guys can see, there you go. In between the top and the bottom of the camber plate is the bushing, or the spacer that came with the camber plates. The only issue that I'm running into now is that there is quite a bit of extra thread from the top bolt. It feels hand tight, but any more that I spin it, it just starts spinning the actual shaft of the coilover. And there's quite a bit of some wiggle room there. And my concern is that when I put these in the car, when I go to try to tighten this bolt, that the shaft is just gonna continue moving. What I'm trying to do is best as possible is to try to tighten this tight before installation. I guess what I'm gonna go ahead and do in the meantime, take off the other top hat and try to take a look and see what happens. After some research, everybody used these spacers, and then the last clip you saw where I placed it. This is for the left-hand side now. I need to check the front right again, because when I tighten this one down with my hand, there's maybe 2 threads left. So this one I actually do feel a lot more confident about with the way that it was tightened. I definitely do need to tighten it a bit more. Whatever reason, holding the purple keeps the shaft in place while you're tightening it. At least for me, it worked out on this coilover. I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at the right one again. This left one basically complete, just needs to be tightened down a little bit more. These really do need to be tightened, or else there's like a clunking noise that most people are hearing. I'm sure that's just from them not tying it down.
So sorry about that, guys. My camera died and I forgot to record the remaining parts. When I put the sleeves on these shafts, as you can see in the picture, the left side decided to not go any farther than the right side. I didn't have any WD-40 laying around, so I had some PB Blaster and I just kind of sprayed both with a good amount, and I left it kind of overnight. The next morning, I used my big hefty torque wrench. After a few frustrating moments, it finally tightened more and more, and both sides were pretty much even. Everything was pretty much going flawlessly. I had the 3 bolts coming from the top hats. Everything was smooth. My girlfriend came outside to help me out. For whatever reason, the bolts were kind of heating up while we were tightening them down. She ended up breaking one of the lug studs that was attached to the top hat. The moment I saw her break that lug stud, I immediately thought I was screwed, because we had only 2 days till the trip. I had thought about taking out the stud, but when I was checking the underside of the top hat, I noticed that the studs had been pressed in. But after some struggling and some Thor hammering down, I pretty much beat the shit out of the stud, and it finally ended up coming out. We took the broken stud and the top hat to Home Depot, where we ended up managing to find a replacement. It looked a little funny, but since the car would be putting all of its weight on the top hat, it was secured and it was gonna work. My buddy Kevin ended up coming over later that night doing the brake flush. I still had some extra Multil 500 brake fluid that we were gonna just flush through the system. So jacked up the car. We started from the back left to the back right to the passenger right, then to the driver's front. We didn't get a chance to do a test run. After he left, I dropped the car. Immediately when driving, my foot went straight to the floor. Similar to the top hat, a bunch of things went through my mind. I thought it was a bad brake booster, master cylinder. Luckily, Kevin was able to pass by again in the morning, and we decided to bleed the brakes, leaving the car on rather than off to allow the vacuum system to kick on when we were pumping the brakes. Making sure all the bubbles were out, starting to stiffen up, and after testing, I had amazing stopping power. I'm glad that I didn't have anything else to replace. I had also finished up giving the car a wash. Nobody compares to the Apex alignment shop that Albert works out of. He kind of gave me a little bit of foreshadowing, saying that my radiator looked pretty worn out since the plastic ends had turned to kind of like a brownish tint, and gave me a tip to pack up some extra coolant just in case. Alignment was flawless, pretty much -3 degrees of camber in the front with the stock 2.5 in the rear. What was pretty cool is that while we were doing the alignment, there were some road racing Porsches that were outside his shop. One of them not even a street legal Porsche Cup car. That was pretty sick. Once we finished up there, we just needed to finish packing up. We were starting to head out to Orlando. I just want to say I appreciate those that made it to the end of the video. You guys watched the whole thing. I should have part 3 posted soon. I'm trying to get into the habit of trying to be a little bit more consistent on my editing and uploads. Next should just be pretty much the Subaru festival with my track videos. I didn't get a whole lot of footage from the actual event and the cars, but it's more of my autocross sessions and everybody else. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe and comment down below. See you guys.